Okay, let's keep going. About her fiance. I nodded. Aika wore her grief openly. It was a rare expression from her. Aika. Aika seemed to get herself together and smiled, poking lightly at my forehead. So I need to find the perfect lighting spot. I will. No doubt about it. One way or another, at least. Then the day of the vote came. The ballots were cast right after class ended and tallied up while students were eating lunch. Tally was done jointly by both associations. Chiho was the White Lily representative. Rice clasped her hands together as if in prayer. The student council president was to read the results. It would be announced over the speaker, but we gathered in the gym to hear it anyway. Ririko had already predicted a White Lily Society victory. She was an optimist to the end. I swallowed and watched Marika at the podium. Whoa. Maybe you should say that's how the cookie crumbles, but now that she had won, Rise was riding high. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good for Risco to act naturally. Well, it's not like we're bitter enemies or anything. There's nothing unnatural about a cheer of encouragement. True enough. I like how everyone's so dense. Well, mainly Mitsuki. Mitsuki's the most densest one about this situation. So it was decided that the White Lily Society would head up the Athletics Festival. I'm glad we won today's vote. 2 losses in a row probably wouldn't have been would have been a bad sign. And what the fuck just happened over there? conscious laughing in his face. I do not believe after seeing all of that shit. There's a bridge collapsed in front of you. Okay. Well, it's no big deal. You're free to think wherever you want. Just make sure you meet the minimum of your responsibilities. But the real problem starts now. It looks like they managed to get some signatures before the vote, but... it's not bad, I guess, but there are so many houses we have to visit. I told her that the questions, or whether we would make it in time, was somewhat in doubt. I can't stop the smiles! I can't stop them. Yeah, but just talking to you like this gets me fired up for visiting houses. She patted my thigh happily. Patted my thigh? Why would you pat? I would understand pat my head, not pat my thigh. The fact that we became comfortable with little touches lately was a sign of how close we were becoming. You like watching races, Ritsuko? I can't stop. I knew what she was talking about, but I wasn't sure how it tied to the athletics festival. But in order to do that, I have to break my chains, break out from my shell. If she could break her chains, her shell, then she could stand up to her mother. That's what she was thinking. I couldn't tell the headmistress myself, so she had to find the strength somehow to break out of her good girl mold. Are you going to do something for the athletics festival? What is it? Ritsuko's expression was serious, but a bit of color entered her cheeks suddenly. Wow, cheering competition? The fact that I'm standing behind a camera would beg the differ on that question. Because I suffer from severe stage fright. Mainly because of the fact that my mother forced me to play as baby Jesus. In front of a very, very, very large crowd. And I wasn't a fan of it. I'm not one for liking large groups of people. That's why I can stand behind a camera and do this, because this is more comfortable. It's only one eye looking at me, even though there's thousands of millions of people that could probably be watching this right now. But that doesn't really affect me this much. However, doing it in an actual crowd? I'm not gonna... I can't speak a word. No, you do not know how terrified I was. I was only a baby, and it still scars me to this very day. I'm not one for crowds. I'm not good at crowds. I am not going to do it. I see. So you're going to participate this year. What's going on? What are you going to do for it? Wow. I stared at Risco, unable to believe what I just heard. Cheerleading. You. That's... I trailed off, found my eyes tracing the line of her body. Feeling my eyes on her, she turned pink and ducked her head down. Cheerleading is... I've never seen it in person, but those outfits are pretty revealing. They wear mini skirts and stuff. So, Risco, are you going to dress up like that? I breathed out again and fixed her with another leering gaze. Risco cheerleading. Just imagining exciting me something about the gap between her normal appearance and that. Well, that's true, but are you sure about this? But there's going to be outsiders watching this time. Risco's face in that moment was a sight to see. She froze, her eyes wide as saucers. I can't stop! Oh no! Stop! With the laughing and the smiles. Oh, I agree. I can feel the tears now. Risco had her decision to cheer, thinking it would be private school matter, but this time the lower world was invited, and half of the audience would be boys. Given that it was girls' school, it might be more than half. Is this really going to dress up in a provocative costume in an environment like that? To be honest, I didn't want her showing off in front of them either. But Risco implored me with her eyes, and so I said, you should do it. When you get the chance like this, you should seize it. If the purpose of this is to break you out of your shell, then I don't think just doing it for the school would have as much of an effect. Risco looked hesitant at first, but she nodded. Though I'm not very fond of the idea myself. I smiled waverly. I don't really want other guys to see you dressed up like that. But that's besides the point. What it comes down to is that I want you to find the strength to face off against the headmistress, against your mother. That's the most important thing for us right now. Risco nodded, her expression serious. Sure. Sure. Oh, come on! Come on, how can you keep a serious face like this? With that, I thought maybe we had gotten off the point. She cleared her throat and returned to her standard dignified expression. Sure. In more ways than one. Okay. Waiting. It was after class on Saturday, the day before the athletics festival. Marika made a rare appearance. No, it was not. It wasn't just Marika who reacted in shock. Everyone else in the area did too. Out of everyone, the biggest reaction came from Konomi, who pushed her way to Risco's side in an instant. Caused her to drool. Risco quickly produced a handkerchief. Or was that music? My neck's itchy. Konomi was enraptured. I can't resist the urge to smile. Coming from Rise, who everyone else viewed as progressive, that was really saying something. Uh, oh, why? Why does this game have to be so cute? My Kankura is being hit so frickin' badly. Once again, Kanomi pushed her up to her, and once again, Risco was forced to use her handkerchief. She was interrupted before, but now she had gone pale. It was one extreme to another with her. Yeah, I beg your pardon. I agree with what's going on. What? I think she's misreading the atmosphere again. Risco tapped Kanomi's forehead. Risco turned her eyes to Ayaka. Aika looked truly happy. It was just a brief exchange, but Aika seemed to understand her perfectly. To an only child like me, that kind of sisterly love was a truly beautiful thing. As for me, mine is sort of a downward spiral opposite. We're pretty much practically at each other's throats. With that dignified response, Marika took her leave. Of course I'm looking forward to this. Yeah. No, I'm not. Oops, I hadn't. Oh, I'm not gonna. Nope. First time I heard of the term. No. Of course. But I thought that was Israel. That's right. But the way that, what do undershorts look like? Oh. Crap, even my girlfriend is what's glaring at me. What then? Bloomers. Well, I guess it's okay, regardless of what happens underneath. The real appeal of cheerleading what happens on top. Oops, they were glaring at me again. Oh. Oh, my cheek. I can't stop. Mitsuki realized she was hesitant to say and waved it off. My cheeks are literally... Believe it or not, it is. Sorry, didn't read that much dialogue and do the whole cheerleading thing. Just go gaze into my eyes. I'm really suppressing myself here. She broke off from the others to get her cheerleading uniform from the student council. She returned quickly to her room and stood in front of the mirror thinking about trying it on. It was more daring than she expected. Her entire face went red from surprise. Even the mini dress that she had considered wearing on her date with Messiah seemed more dignified than this. She left the hem of the shirt. It wasn't even long on the skirt. It wasn't even long enough to cover her underwear. Of course, that's why she'd be wearing undershorts. She felt like there would be probably any coverage of her skin at all. It seemed like it would be awfully cold for autumn. Then again, maybe she wouldn't feel the cold. She would be too busy feeling self-conscious about people watching her. The idea of outsiders seeing her like this was humiliating, but she had made her decision. She felt sure that if she let this chance slip by her, she would be controlled by her mother all her life. I can't. Just thinking I made her itchy all over. What was that feeling? She didn't understand it, but it wasn't unpleasant. And the privacy of her room, Risco looked down at her chest. She could feel her pulse racing. She hadn't even experienced that before. She had lived her entire life since she was a child in this isolated environment. She had no regrets about that part of it at all. Risco loved vastness. That was her natural feeling, and the reason she had opposed integration. It still hadn't changed. But she also thought she had been truly fortunate to be able to meet Messiah. Although the fact that meeting him was tied into integration made things rather complicated. I can't stop. This made it even worse. My freaking mouth. Was she getting too far ahead of herself? They hadn't exchanged vows or anything. The thought made her froze up. I can't stop myself from smiling. The mirror reflected her crimson face. Her title, Bella Peen, probably couldn't survive this. A peen might, Briar Rose. And peen meant Briar Rose. That's probably how others had seen her. Risco knew that she had always been unexperienced. unexpressive. But what about now? The mirror showed a girl with shining eyes. Since meeting Messiah, Rice's theories seemed to be affecting her too. She leaned close to the mirror, looking into her own red face. And she looked down at her entire body, covered only by her underwear. Shouldn't that be obvious? Really, that should be obvious. Her gaze led down from her stomach to her underwear and then to her legs. Suddenly she gasped, realizing the strange way she was looking at herself. She felt slightly hot all over, and she could see that it wasn't just her face that was pink now, but her whole body. She threw the uniform down on the bed. She would try it on later. And that night we met in the cathedral. It was hard to count how many nights we spent together like this. Seemed like the kind of rumors would get spread about, but the secret remained intact. There was at least one person, the girl who lived in the exit room, who knew that Risco was leaving the dorm, but she seemed to be keeping her lips sealed. What? Oh, right. It was right at the deadline, but we managed to collect all the signatures. Everyone I visited was surprised to see me. I guess part of it because I'm a guy. They were most surprised to see Vesna's students coming out to visit them. Seemed to make them really happy, though. So even though it took a lot of time, we got the signatures pretty easy. Now I just had to run my hardest in an actual race. I've been chosen as a runner in the 10,000 meter. It seemed a little odd to have one guy running a group of girls, but Rice had pushed for it. It's 10 kilometers, though. I'd never run that distance before. I guess, but I don't have any training or anything. I had gym class every week, but I couldn't really claim to be getting a proper workout. After all, I was always by myself working on the apertures. Cheerleading practice. What did you do there? Oh, that's right. Cheerleading is a lot like dancing. Muscle training. I looked over Risco's slender body. She didn't seem to have much in her the ways of muscle. I took her hand quite. You really are delicate, Risco. Your wrist too, I see. I made a ring with my thumb and forefinger, and still had room to spare. Her white hand was so willow, it seemed more like fragile china. She stared to speak, then shut her mouth tightly. I really what? I can't stop the smiles. Okay, I decided not to push her and removed my hand. I can't stop the cheeks. I need to go to the next part right now. Oh, damn it.